Let's be honest, like most people, you and I never planned for a sales job. I mean, we got out of school and the jobs that we really wanted were really hard to find and almost impossible to land. So we go online, convinced we're going to find something, and yet we don't really see anything. And yet most of the jobs that we see and most of the emails that we get are for sales jobs. And they're promising things that just sound really good. Unlimited income, you set your own hours, maybe you don't have a boss around you all the time, and just kind of a general sense of freedom. So you decide to go for it. And then you get into the sales training and they're teaching you things that sound good and make it sound like it's going to be easy if you just do what they tell you to do. The problem is then you get out in the real world and they just don't work and you don't know why. So you go online and you watch a bunch of videos for people who are going to teach you how to sell effectively. And you may even go get a book or two from reputed authors who are names out there, thinking, okay, maybe there's a different way. Maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. But in the end, it's all the same thing that you've been taught. And really, it's no help. And the first thing that goes through your mind, like anybody, is it's not fair. And you're right, it is not fair. The problem is that they're teaching you how to sell, and no one wants to be sold to. Everybody loves buying, and they're not teaching you anything about that. You need something completely different, something that gives you an unfair advantage over everybody out there and completely changes the game for you. And in gaming, we call it a cheat code. Now, most people understand what a cheat code is, but if you're not familiar with it, it's a purposefully and intentionally embedded advantage in the game that allows you to have superpowers, allows you to have things that no one else can have just to make the whole game easier. It may even let you skip levels and just get to the end. And in the end, when you have this cheat code, it's pretty much an automatic win. And as awesome as that is, arguably, the best thing about a cheat code is that most people don't even know it's there. So when you have it, it's just the absolute pride of knowing that you have something incredible that most people are completely unaware of. And in sales, there is a cheat code. It's just that you've never been told about it. Now, my background probably is somewhat like yours. I got out of college and I never wanted to get into sales. My goal, I had an advertising major. And so I spent the next few years in huge advertising agencies. And it just really wasn't going to be the career for me. It just didn't really line up for me. And so I started looking for jobs, and most of the jobs out there were sales. So I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a try. But I'll tell you, I sucked. And in fact, my first job, I didn't even sell one item. I think the biggest claim to fame was that I lasted 3 months. But after that, you kind of got to go. So I went to a few different sales jobs and I didn't really fare a whole lot better. I struggled. And the only reason I even sort of got by was because I worked harder and longer. And I just worked myself to the bone. So fast forward a couple years, I met a couple guys who happened to be in this underground pickup group here in San Diego. And unlike what most people would think, they're not picking up girls. In fact, that wasn't the goal at all. The goal was to get the women to pick you up. You see, if your goal was to pick up women, we didn't want you in our group because that's not what we're about. If you're talking to a beautiful woman and she tells you to get lost, it's because she sees something that you either don't see or refuse to acknowledge. In this group, it wasn't about picking up women. It was about elevating our true value, getting rid of our fears, our worries, our inferiorities, and our insecurities. And you got to understand, the two guys who were my mentors in this group were not Adonises. One guy was one of the most introverted software engineers that you'll ever meet, and the other guy had a pot belly and was balding. And yet, they would walk down the street, and by the end of the night, they would usually have 2 to 3 women trying to give their number to him. And I mean, honestly, it was like landing on Mars. I'd never seen anything like it. And so over the course of the next few months, I ended up earning their trust, and they started showing me exactly what they did. But it wasn't about tactics. It was about truly lining up your life and elevating your true value. And so you're getting rid of the things that really pull you down. And so when that happens, people see that. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a guy or a boss or somebody interviewing you, it just doesn't matter. People immediately pick up on it and they want to be a part of your world. And so fast forward a few months, I ended up starting this call center job. And I'd never worked in a call center before, but they told us in training that it was going to be, you're going to climb a cliff every week. And no matter what you did, you're going to the bottom of the cliff and you're starting again. You're going to have to make over 300 calls a week, and it's just going to be a grind. And so, I really didn't think I had much of a choice, so I started to do that. And within the first week, I started realizing that every single person I was talking to was acting and reacting to me like the women that I would meet outside of work. And what I mean by that is they saw you coming a mile away. They thought you were only out for one thing. They thought you were a charlatan, and they really just wanted to get rid of you. But yet at the same time, they wanted a high value man. So they were open to it, but they weren't expecting it. And so I had this realization. I thought, I wonder what would happen if I completely ditched everything that I learned about sales from sales training and just did what I do outside of work, but at work. And I thought, wow, honestly, this isn't going to work. There's no way. It just seemed too crazy. But as I started to think about it, everything started to line up. And I said, this should work. On paper, it makes all the sense in the world. And so I stared a future of 300 calls a week and climbing cliffs. And I realized, you know what? I got to try it. So I did. Ditched everything that I ever learned about sales and just winged it as if I was not at work. And the results were spectacular. Within the first week, I was number 2 on my team of 15 people. Within a couple months, I was top 5 in a company of over 500 people. And the results were spectacular. In fact, one of the things that I had happen, I had some of the best numbers in the company, but I had the lowest outbound call number of anybody in the entire company. So what happens when you do that? Well, they ended up promoting me. And now I have a team of 15 people that I'm supposed to get their numbers up. But the problem is, I don't think there's any way that they're going to understand what I did. And I don't know how to teach them how to be a good salesperson because I never was one. So I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to teach them some super low-level foundational things, and we're going to see what happens. And wow, within 2 to 3 months, I had the number 2 team in the company, and everybody took notice. And that's when I realized I had something really big on my hands. And so I wanted to actually do something and teach this to people. And as luck would have it, you think, okay, well, that's where this company comes from, and everything, kind of is perfect, and I'm totally not relatable to anybody out there. Well, that's not this story. Immediately after that, I had a massive head injury. Basically landed, woke up with my head in asphalt. The entire left side of my face looked like I had a very bad MMA outing. And I basically spent the next 2 years not really being able to do much. I ended up going to a prayer meeting and no joke, got healed immediately. And it took me, honestly, a couple months to really understand that it was over. And so I had this vision for doing this, for giving you guys the sales cheat code, and now I have the opportunity to do it. Look, your past sales results are not your fault. It's not how hard you work, it's not how many calls you make, it's not the product, the pricing, anything. It doesn't matter. The problem is that you and I followed bad advice, and it caused us to struggle. And I'm here to change that paradigm, to give you that cheat code that allows you to have the superpower, to skip to the end, to make winning really easy. And the cool part about it is most people don't know about it. It's really, really awesome. Now, I know there's a few people out there thinking, okay, Matt, how are you different from all the other sales trainers that you've been bagging on? Number one, I am not a sales trainer. Sales trainers teach you how to sell, and no one wants to be sold to, but yet everybody wants to buy. I'm here to teach you how people want to buy, how to engineer their mindset so they want to buy from you. In the community, which is what we called our pickup group, there's a term that's called social dynamics, and there's a science to engineer how people respond to you. So in essence, I'm the polar opposite of these sales trainers that you're talking to. I don't like them. None of the sales trainers I ever met were good in sales. The thing is, they wanted to quit their sales job, but they just didn't want to be unemployed. So they transferred to sales training. And now they're basically cordoned off in a room for 40 hours a week, teaching things that in their mind they know never work, but it doesn't matter because they're done with you in 2 weeks. Look, this is going to be fun. Everything that I'm teaching you is not some boring theoretical thing that you've heard a million times. In fact, virtually everything that I'm going to teach you, you've never heard before, but yet you see all the time. And the way you can validate it is just by living your life. You're going to see it all the time, but you're going to look at yourself and realize you do the exact same thing without thinking about it. I'm going to show you everything that I learned in the community and how it lines up point for point to a sales job, on how to quickly identify who's going to buy from you, who you want to buy from you, and how to engineer their reaction so that they're innately wanting to buy from you. The whole point of this is to prevent sales objections forever. That's it, to not have to face them. And if you face them, that's fine, but it just means you're doing something wrong. So in the end, it's a process. It's going from 0 to 60. You're not going to start off tomorrow by signing up for my newsletter or any program and instantly be this perfect, amazing person. It is a process. But every time that you look at this and you realize how simple and how counterintuitive this is, you're going to dive a little deeper and a little deeper. And the results, when you look back, are going to be insane. And the coolest part, as much as the results are awesome, is that you're going to have a cheat code that no one else has. So the first thing that I want you to do is go down below, click on the link, and claim a copy of the book that I wrote, The Unfair Advantage. And what it's going to do is it's going to show you why all this works. And I'm even going to throw in a couple things that you can immediately start to implement today to make a difference in the results that you're getting. So go ahead, grab the book today, and I'll talk to you soon.